This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
To you live from Castle Doom and Latveria, we bring you the Nerdy Manroom show with your hosts, Hassel and Monster. And Monster, as you can see, has a dubious backdrop, but he is there.
Your eyes don't deceive you. We've got some technical difficulties this week, and it's going to take me a little bit to fix them. So, in light of that, instead of trying to spend the entire day fixing it and miss out on recording, we figure we'll just roll with what we got. So, you get the lovely Hassel only view this week.
We'll vote like hell for you.
But with that, let's tell everybody what we're going to do today. So this show will be a little bit different today. So based on extenuating circumstances, including technical difficulties at the moment, we decided that instead of a set focus topic, we're going to take the opportunity to do a deeper dive into our Geek Week and discuss what we've been up to and maybe some news and reviews on some of our Geek Week stuff. We'll spend a little bit more time than we normally do on that and go through a few things. But before we get there, let's thank our sponsors. These Zone Collectibles. You can find them on the internet at thezonecollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at These Zone Collectibles or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Make sure you visit them for all your nerdy needs, from comics to Legos to trading cards, toys, games, and more. Help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And with that, I think we're good to go straight into Geek Week. And I don't remember which one of us went first last time, so we can flip a coin and go, or if you just want to
do rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I got.
And I'm gonna have to take you at your word here. So
all right.
One, two, three.
Oh, I have paper, so you won.
All right. So he's a man of honor, even in the shrouded silence. So it's a slow week, as far as sports goes, because we got no football this week. We've got this bullshit flag football game that they're calling the Pro Bowl. I'm not too happy about that right there. That's later today. I don't know if I'll waste time watching that or not. I think they're hoping the Manning brothers dynamic sells that, but it's not.
How bad has this whole season been, though? Because honestly, usually you hear people ranting and raving about something going on, or one team that is just going to end, and nobody had a clue who was going to end up anywhere. I've heard nobody really just excited about any games. It's just kind of like, eh.
No one team really run away with anything. The Eagles look good, and then, you got Cincy. But let's be honest, the referees stole that game. That AFC Championship game. I'm sorry, not Cincy. The Chiefs, because they stole it from Cincinnati. So that game there was brutally bad, terrible officiating, but that was pretty much the story of the whole season. A lot of terrible officiating, and it kind of cost some games, and it's looking real bad for the NFL because it almost looks as if they're trying to script their season, and there's been some speculation. You can only script so damn much with sports, let's be real, because you still got to make the play. Professional athletes or not, but you can sway it, so to speak, and it almost seems swayed at times.
And even going into like that Cincinnati and Buffalo game, and all they were talking about is, well, we're going to play the next game after Buffalo because we can't do it in their home or this home. I was like, because it's the same area. And I was like, dude, just going to completely overlook the chance that team has to win. No matter the odds, everybody still got a chance to win at some point. They just completely overlooked Cincinnati entirely. Like, you're not going to win.
Yeah, it was literally like Atlanta's only chance to host a championship game, because we were going to get the game. So yeah.
Yeah, I just haven't watched. I watched maybe 10, 15 minutes of a couple of games, and that's about it. It just was not exciting at all this year for me.
I watch every Sunday, but I'm not in it like I usually am. Like typically, I do fantasy football every year, and from the time I get up to the time I go to bed, I'm eat, sleep, breathe football. between college football on Saturdays and then, the games on Thursday and Sunday and Monday night. But I don't know. There were several times this season where I didn't bother with the Sunday or Monday night game, depending on who played. I would watch, Yellowstone or 1923 instead of football, Monday Night Raw instead of Monday Night football, which is very unusual for me as of late.
Yeah.
So it's been a weird season. But we don't have no games today, like I said, other than the Pro Bowl that used to mean something. They tried to do things to make it mean something. Now the All-Star game, it's a meaningful game, and the guys got there bust their ass and play. They take pride in it. But these pro football players, it's like, I'm not going to get hurt. I don't give a shit. So they don't care. Now they're playing flag football. It's almost like what was it on MTV used to have, the Rockin' Sock or Rockin' Jock? You the softball game they have with the celebrities and the pro athletes mixed together.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I remember they used to do a lot of basketball ones too. That's the ones I would watch.
Yeah, it almost seems like it's in league with that right here.
Well, I mean, at the same time, that's why most of them won't play in the Olympics and stuff anymore. And I know football is not necessarily in the Olympics, but like when they had some baseball in there, when they had basketball, you don't have dream team stuff anymore because nobody wants to go out there and wear themselves out and get hurt and then miss out on potential season, which is what they get paid for.
Which is crazy because we got, Ronald Acuna Jr., the highest paid player on the Braves team. He's playing in some damn Venezuela league right now. I'm literally thinking we're paying this cat millions. And if he tears his damn ACLs back up again or, something, another legitimate career injury, what are you going to do? You're stuck with this kid. Yeah. He's out there playing hard in probably another 100-game season. Yes, that's where I kind of draw a line, though.
Yeah, and I can see that too. And again, that's why they say that they don't do that anymore. Just honestly, why take the risk?
Yep. But so to kick my geek week off, we got a post Royal Rumble WWE. Cody Rhodes won.
I had that on my stuff too. So why don't we take a couple minutes since we're going to do most of Geek Week this week? Let's take a couple minutes and actually do a little bit of a review of that if you're up for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'll let you go. You kick it off. I'll get your take on that.
So let's start with the men's rumble. I thought that was actually really well done. The only thing that I had any problem with in the men's rumble was they continue, and don't get me wrong, I always like these usually, but they continue to push Kofi Kingston to try to pull out some spot. And the last 2 years, he has missed it. Last year was just a mistake, and it was like, okay, there's no coming back. It was seen where both his feet hit, and they couldn't try to play it off. But this year was ugly. This year, he looked like he knocked himself out, quite honestly.
He botched it 2 years running, and it's like, ooh, it's time to retire the spot at this point. Because even he said, I think the fans have spoken. We need to retire this.
Yeah, and
which
then the other
sucks because I was his one shining spot in every Rumble was he was going to perform some spectacle, and he always done very well at it up to the last 2 years. But the man is also he's getting a little long in the tooth for that sort of thing. Yeah,
and the only other thing I saw on the men's rumble that was like stood out as kind of weird was Brock's after elimination tantrum, and that was supposed to happen to some degree, but I think they said from what I've seen that he took some liberties that they were planning, and they actually hurt the referee. He threw over the barricade, like tore his shoulder or something.
Yeah, he messed up the ref because he was actually supposed to be in the main event, and he messed that guy up to where he's done and probably won't be back to after Mania. Apparently the announcers took some real problem with the fact that he slammed them metal steps down on the announcer's table in front of them. So they said he got a little backstage heat, but I mean, it's Brock Lesnar. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
No matter how much heat these guys, especially with Vince back, nothing's going to happen. What do you do, jobbing to Gunther? No. Who I will say had an incredible performance in the Rumble.
He did. I was going to say, as far as high spots in the men's Rumble, Gunther was one of them. I will tell you what I got tired of, though, with Gunther. And it's not him. It's all Michael Cole. But him saying every 5 minutes, wire to wire, in the men's and the women's Rumble, I got so tired of hearing that phrase, I just wanted to punch him in the head.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of Gunther going into the match. I just hadn't. But he kind of earned my respect in this right because, I mean, hell, set a record for the longest period of time, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And I mean, he actually performed and put on a good show. He showed that he could mix it up with several different ones. I'd like to see him and Brock have a little more of a interaction.
Well, they
But,
cut away from them having their
yeah.
interaction. Like they cut to Bobby Lashley's long, because that was the longest Royal Rumble entrance way.
Oh my God, that was like what, Mania 17 esque.
Yeah, and they
where it was
cut
just
to
like
they
forever.
cut to Brock's entire, or not Brock, they cut to Bobby's entire walk in. It's like, well, we missed whatever interaction Gunther and Brock actually had, and that's what I've heard a lot of people saying they actually want to see how they would interact because they're
Well,
trying to build Gunther.
yeah, I mean, well, there was this rumored to be Gunther and Brock at Mania for the Intercontinental title, which if they do, I hope Brock, does the favors and, builds the man properly because I don't want to see Brock with any title, especially the Intercontinental title where he's going to show up, once every 3 weeks, not wrestle. You know what I'm saying? That's the workhorse championship. You need it. You already have the world title, conglomerated on one person to where they only show up, do a few interviews. I mean, he's wrestled on SmackDown, like 3 times in the last 6 months, maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, he's there, but and so some weeks he's not even there. I think he's there like 3 out of 4 weeks and wrestles none of them.
Yeah. So I trying to think back at some of the restaurants, because it has been a little bit since we watched it. I'm trying to think of the other high spots, but Logan Paul and Ricochet, that was a cool looking little spot. I mean, beyond that, I was not. Logan Paul did great in the match. Ricochet could have came or went. If they're going to do high spot moves now, they might as well start using him instead of Kofi, just because he's still got a little bit more ups to him. But that was a cool.
Yeah, I'm not a Paul
spot.
fan. I can respect his ability in the ring because he's actually pretty damn skilled as a wrestler. Honestly, I mean, he's not someone's. He's going to show up occasionally, and he's only like Seth Rollins said, and I'm thinking this is, a work for them two to build a match at Mania, I'm supposing. But, Seth Rollins, like, look, he doesn't do this because he loves this. He's just doing this to be famous. And he's right. I mean, so it might be a work shoot type deal, but, I mean, he is right. But the kid's got talent, and that was a hell of a high spot. And him and Roman had some hell of a spots at Crown Jewel.
Yeah, they did. Beyond that, Cody winning, Cody coming. I was kind of disappointed they didn't bring Cody into a 30, but I was wondering if that's just because he's not 100% fully healed.
No, actually, from what I read, apparently their thing was they knew that the fans were going to be pissed that Sammy wasn't in the Rumble, and they were told they were worried that you remember a couple of years ago when everybody wanted Bryan to be in the Rumble when the Yes Mania started kicking back off again, and then everybody was fucking pissed when he didn't come out. Like Rey Mysterio comes out 30th, and they thought that would do it. But no, everybody was pissed off that it was not, Daniel Bryan, and they hijacked the show. They were worried they were going to hijack the show for Sammy. So that's why they put Cody at third, because they knew the fans weren't going to boo Cody.
That's probably fair.
Yeah.
After that match, though, what did you think of some of the rest of the show? Since I started on that match, I'll let you go to the next one.
As far as Royal Rumble cards, it had a lot of possibility, but I'm going to be honest, as far as overall card, it was one of the more lackluster, exciting. I mean, everything was predictable. I mean, I went 4-0 on calling the matches when I did the Hassles review on the pre-show. I went 4-0 on every one of them because every damn one of them was predictable. We knew Cody was winning.
Yeah.
You knew Bianca was retaining.
Yep.
You knew that Rhea Ripley was winning the title, and you knew that Roman was keeping this title. I mean, every bit of it was totally predictable. And I'm not saying it's bad storytelling. It was just there was little excitement, and the women's match wasn't bad. I mean, I
actually enjoyed.
I didn't agree with the placement on the card. I mean, I just, to me, I think because the women do a fine job, but that's the opener to me. The men's Rumble should always be either the main event
I will agree
or the
with that.
title match main event. One of those two should be, and it's not to be sexist. It's just the way of the pecking order in pro wrestling.
And I know you need an exciting match to start out because you need an exciting, and then you can drop kind of to some lulls and then come back exciting at the end. Yeah, but I would have started with the women's because the women's did have some exciting moments, and then unlike last year, because last year there was a lot of botches in that match.
Yeah, they did a fine job.
You saw only one or two this year, but they was very limited. But it was a good match. I thought the match itself was great, but I would have started with that one.
So let me get your thoughts on Asuka's return with her new Dark Empress character. I mean, it's not really new, but it's just new to the States.
I like that much better. I was getting a little tired of seeing the same thing from her and the yelling and the screaming all the time. It's just getting old. But I like her new look, and she's a little bit more quiet and just more tactful and yeah.
I was never a big fan of the Asuka, and she came off really silly. I was like, why is this supposed to be the most feared woman? Because nothing about her was scary. I mean, the best move she had, when she was doing the little fan favorite was the butt bump. She could bump me all day. So, it wasn't, worrisome to me. But when she come out with the Muda look, and now she's got the mist, and I'm a fan.
Beyond her, let me ask you about a couple of the others. So, what did you think about Michelle McCool jumping over the barricade to come in? It was like, all right, that's kind of funny and different, but at the same time,
especially when she almost failed to get over the barricade.
Yeah, that was funny.
From what I understand, it was a last minute call. Like, I guess a few hours before the show, she finally agreed to do it. Now, why she didn't go to the back, I guess they thought it'd be interesting. It is something never before done. I was like, well, I mean, I can't say it hadn't really never been before done, because I think King and JBL both done announcing and got it from an announce table and went out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
And something I did miss on the men's real quick, just take a step back. Why would they not have done what they have done in previous Rumbles? When somebody can't come out and compete, they replace them with another person. Rey Mysterio never got to come out, so it was really only a 29-man Rumble. So technically, did Cody really win? Because Rey was never eliminated.
No, they have actually WWE actually put the rule out there, and it is official. You have to enter to be entered. If you did never make it to the ring, you're never considered a
So why wouldn't you just replace him with somebody else, like they've done in other, like the time that Becky or somebody didn't make it out there, and Nia Jax took their spot or whatever, and then she did it in the men's Rumble when she took somebody out.
Well, when Stone Cold was commissioner and Mick Foley beat up somebody, and then you didn't know it was Foley, but he looks at him and he's Stone Cold's cussing somebody else. Says, "Well, get your ass to the ring." And then you go out there and it's like, oh shit, it was Foley. That was pretty cool. Because he wanted to get his retribution against Randy Orton. That was, I think, it was leading into their Legend Killer match at Mania.
Yeah, so and I won't dwell on it too much, but that was kind of like one of those things that stood out to me too, and I'd almost forgot about it. But back to the women's. So what did you think of the announcers when Piper Niven came out, and every 2 seconds they were saying something about do and dropping? Like they had so much fun with that. You could tell that Vince is not in charge and yelling in their ear anymore, because they just decided we're just gonna make fun of that and just.
But it's like you had a real monster heel there with her, coming off the indie scene. Because from what I understand, she was a very big monster all over, and she's a talented girl. I mean, she's big. She's like Nia Jax minus the injuries to everyone.
Yeah, the lack of talent.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. Who also showed back up just in time to start injuring people again. But anyways,
I would have liked to have seen them two square off in the ring, and I don't think they did they?
No, they didn't get any FaceTime together. But that could have been real fun there. That could have been that Diesel Undertaker moment when they eye to eye for the first time. You're like, oh shit, these two irresistible forces. And the immovable object, as Gorilla would say, but that would have been pretty cool. I don't think they got any of that, but it was fun how they just like, look, she's back. We'll acknowledge the fact that we shit on her the first time. This is who she is. Yeah, and it was what the fans wanted.
They had so much fun popping on that name, though. I was like, man, are they going to give that up at any point? I thought it was going to be 1 or 2 little jokes, but no, they just continued. Every move she made, they made some comment about her name.
Yeah, I was kind of let down on SmackDown this week when Rhea Ripley didn't show up over there, but you know what it's leading to. I'm wondering what's in store for Judgment Day, because Rhea's going to have to go to SmackDown, and Dominique's going to go to SmackDown because Ray's there. So because that's what it's leading to is Dom and Ray at Mania. And it'll probably be a career mask type match, and this might be where Ray finally hangs it up. But you know what? As much as I don't really like Dominique in the ring, character-wise, the kid is really coming to his own.
Oh, dude, he is hilarious with his.
He is one of the better parts of the show.
His hard criminal for 12 hours or whatever it was. Or was it even that long?
He said, you were in a holding cell and you probably got turned out in there. I was like, oh man.
Oh, the other question I had on the women's rumble was, how'd you feel about Liv Morgan making it all the way to the end? She's all right, and I don't dislike her, but it's like, really, she outlasted some of those people who came in there.
Dude, they have tried so hard to strap the rocket to this young lady and put her to the moon. And I don't know what it is. I mean, she's semi over with the fans, but she's not to the level that she should be for the pushes they have given her. I mean,
She is
she's the
a
only,
female. She's a female mid carder. If they had an intercontinental title for a female mid carder, that would be her.
oh, and she could hold it for some time. But
Yeah, she's
I
not
mean,
main event.
they let her beat, Ronda Rousey twice. I think she's the only female that has beat Ronda Rousey more than once. Well, I guess now Charlotte has. Um, so before that, she was the only female to beat Ronda Rousey twice. I mean, she was giving push after push. She had all the steam as a baby face, but now she's like this in between baby face, heel. And it's like, okay, well, what are you, Lex Luger? I mean, what do
Yeah,
we get this week? And
yeah. I'm getting a little tired of seeing her, but she's not the same caliber of a Charlotte or a Rhea or a Becky or even a Bailey. Which
but not many are, dude. I mean, let's be honest. These
no,
are kind of elite female. I mean, it. I will say this: the women's division in WWE right now is probably where the men's division was when you had Rock, Undertaker, Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, Triple H, Chris Benoit. You had a plug and play with those six guys that they could face anybody, and they were all elite athletes. And so you have those few females now in the WWE women's division that legitimately they're that. But then you also got that huge disconnect, which is what we had then too. Look
yeah,
at the card. Look at the card back then when you had those guys. You had all those guys up here. Then once you step down to that intercontinental level, where Edge was at the time, and some other people, huge disconnect because you couldn't see those guys getting in the ring. Even like Chris Jericho
no.
before he, finally broke loose, you didn't see him as a viable threat to any of those guys.
Yeah, the talent pool did not have that. Like a regular pool, it didn't have that wade where you go from 2 feet deep to 5 feet deep, and it's a steady slope. It was 2 feet, and you walk off a cliff into 6 feet.
Well, look at the Sonya Deville. Take her for instance. I think she's an amazing heel. I think she'd be far better suited as a manager, a
Yeah,
female heel manager versus in ring performer. But there's that disconnect. Like she gets the heat with the crowd, but when she gets in the ring, it's like the drizzling shits and no one
she
cares.
she to me she lost any credibility for her to be a main eventer when she went. And I know the reason she went out was Valor, right? When she went out with the stalker and stuff like that, and she had to be off
Yeah,
TV for a little while. But when she came back, she was not the same as she was before she was there. And I don't know if it had something to do with being out of the ring, or if her confidence was just shot, or she was just gun shy because of that stuff happening outside the ring. But she has not been the same since she went out.
she's great on the mic end of things, and that's it. I mean, to work me, I would probably have her as a manager, and we'd leave it at that. I mean, I thought, moving into like Lacey Evans, they brought her back to the SmackDown before the Rumble, put her in a squash match. She beat the hell out of this poor girl, got some heat off of not high fiving a Down syndrome kid, which I was really like, you people understand she's a heel.
Yeah.
This is the type shit heels do, whether
Yeah,
the regular kid or a
and,
Down
and think
syndrome
about that.
kid.
If that had
That
been
just makes it even
MJF,
worse.
if that had
Oh
been
God,
MJF, everybody been like, ha ha ha, he's playing this character. But she does it, and it's like, oh, you're a horrible person.
they were wanting to cancel this poor girl. Like MJF, he'd have shot him a bird. You
Yeah,
know what
he
I'm saying?
probably would have told him, fuck that kid.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I was like, you know what? That's great psychology. She's doing what she's supposed to do. She got a repackaged her. She got a great repackage. I mean, right now, I'd be strapping a rocket to her for a little while just see what she could do. I mean, do I want to see her in a title picture? Really, no. But I mean, who else is going to be there right now? Not
Yeah,
on the Raw side of things. Do we want to see Becky in another title match at Mania right now? I don't think Becky needs the belt.
she doesn't. Her and Bailey's rivalry is much more interesting than anything
Yeah.
Bianca's gonna do right now.
It reminds me very much of the Mania where you had Savage and Warrior, where that retirement match there almost superseded Hogan Slaughter.
Yeah.
I mean, even though Hogan Slaughter was, for the US of A and all that, that other match was right there. And like Warriors Trunk said, it means more than the belt. That's what their rivalry is kind of at right now. So you really don't have anybody that looks physicality wise, unless you put Oscar there again, I guess.
Yeah. But again,
Oscar.
it's the same stuff over and over.
Lacey would be a breath of fresh air to me, and I like her Cobra Clutch gimmick. I mean, I'm digging that.
So, and we won't dwell on it too much more, so because we won't take up the whole show with it. But the last match, the title match, the after story from that's what everybody wanted to see. I don't think there's much really to dwell on with it. But I did want to ask you about the Pitch Black match, because I'm gonna be honest. First of all, that match was nothing more than a joke, especially the lightsaber kendo stick. But I am not digging Bray Wyatt. I'm sorry, LA Knight I really like. But Bray Wyatt, it's just they want to pass that torch to him to be the next Undertaker, and I know he had that going for him with the Fiend and everything. But now
the Fiend will never be back. The Fiend and the cult version of Bray Wyatt will never be back. He's went on record and said this.
I am not digging this current version of him, and I honestly don't think it's quite as over as they think it is. And I'll say this: when he gets out there and talks, it's like he starts off and he's very captivating with the way he speaks. But he never makes a point. He talks and talks, and I'm like, are you going to get to the point, or are you just going to keep repeating the same thing in a different sentence form?
He's a great entrance, and he's a hit and miss promo. Some promos he knocks out of the park, some he doesn't. I will say, just as far as his Rumble entrance, I was extremely let down when I seen this bitch just had some mascara around his eyes. I was like, what the fuck? Then when the lights went out, I will say the look did get cooler when he had the
The
whatever,
black paint.
Yeah, like the almost spider web-esque, and then he had the eyes and fangs. It's like, okay, I could get behind this if you could figure out to do this with the black lights. I'd actually kind of vibe with that. But then at the end of the match, he pulls some super lame looking mask out. I was like, this is not cool. You can't go from the thing. Hell, even Uncle Howdy looks cooler than the thing that he pulls out at the end, to chase him off, and then Uncle Howdy throws an elbow off on him that misses completely. I think
and the
maybe
camera was like,
his head.
Camera was right there and saw the entire miss, and it's like, and then LA Knight has to crawl into the hole, stick his feet out.
You know what? I was let down on SmackDown that he was not there this week.
I guess too. I really like him. I think he has potential to be a great heel, and he can move up the card.
Well, that's one thing I will give great credit on, because this little feud and that match, even as gimmicky as it was, and the fact that WWE done it for a cash grab, it did make LA Knight seem as a viable contender to main event status.
Yeah,
I can see him now. Not maybe with Roman, but I'm sorry. Let's face it. Roman is way the fuck up here. I mean, there's hardly anyone that's really in his level at the moment.
If Cody or Seth or somebody, LA Knight could put on a good show with them.
Great. Oh man, that would actually be amazing, and they're setting themselves up to really have something after Mania that gives of the more viability of what you'll get into it, but not to move too far. What do you think about Sammy? I mean, was it time to you to pull the trigger on this?
I don't know, because what's he gonna? I guess they have no choice, because if Cody is gonna win at Mania, then what do you do for Sammy and Roman? But at the same time, that coming out of this, Sammy's not gonna beat Roman before Mania, so it's like, why did we waste the turn?
That's my only thing about this right here, because I mean, this has probably been the best storyline they've done in 10 years. Easily. And I don't know, the people behind Sammy, they really are behind Sammy. But this reminds me so much of when Owen returned as the Blackheart. He jumps, Shawn Michaels, just like, Sammy did Roman on SmackDown Friday. And the fans were there. And then the commentating and the company did not get behind it the way they should have. It was a one and done feud. And then he was left to flounder afterwards, which is what I feel like is going to happen to Sammy. Sammy's going to lose at the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Because he's not being Roman. Let's just be honest. They're not going to put the title on this guy, and I don't blame them. Why would you? It's a compelling match. It's interesting. The fans will buy into it, but He gains more sympathy by losing, but afterwards, if you're not really careful, he's going to flounder.
Yeah,
Super,
he's.
super fast.
This has been a great story, and I think everybody wants to see the culmination of it. But it's just like the whole Kofi Mania story, right? It's great storytelling, and it's going to come off. It's going to come off, but at the end of it, is he really main event material after that? Not really.
Some guys are really great at chasing the title, never actually being the champion. I mean, as much as I love Sting, I was a huge Sting fan. The way WCW presented him, he was always great chasing the title. And then once he got it, it was a feel-good moment. But then afterwards, no one really seemed to care about him as champion over a long-term period of time. I mean, 2 months, and then, oh, he got swindled out of it by these dastardly whoever's. But I don't even see Sammy in that aspect.
I don't think Sammy's got enough. He's decent, but if this was, Intercontinental title, sure. U.S. title, sure. Heavyweight title, I don't see him holding it for any long period of time or doing much with it, I just can't see him being in that role.
I will say they did throw me for a loop with the Jade part. I did not expect Jade to leave him.
Yeah, that's interesting. I want to see where that goes.
If he's able to get into Canada due to his, DUI issues, which is rumored to already be the case, that the Usos might not be at the Elimination Chamber due to this. They had to get special permission to go to the last show in Canada. So it's kind of iffy. But if he's there and they play it up like he's really got Sammy's back until then, and then he swerves, helps Roman win, and then you set up, the Usos and KO and Sammy at Mania for the titles. To me, that's the most logical, viable path.
Yeah, that might could work. I could see that. But with that, I think that was all I had for the Rumble. I mean, from my notes and stuff, I don't know if there was anything else you had.
That pretty much summed it up. Like I said, it's very predictable. And the rest of the WWE week, it was pretty slim. I mean, you got more lawsuits for Vince. I mean, they're piling up more and more.
Yeah,
it's every time you turn around, there's someone else is suing him. They did go on record Thursday as to say that they expect the WWE to sell within the next 3 months, and that Vince is willing to step down completely out of the picture if the new owners do not want him as part of the process.
I saw that. I haven't had a chance to delve into it. I don't believe that. See that note.
I don't believe that, and I don't believe it'll sell in 3 months. I think that's Nick Khan blowing smoke to make someone, you know what I'm saying? Like, you go buy a car and you're looking, you're like, well, you know what? Let me think on it. Well, now you can think on it, but I've had 4 people in here today looking at this car. It's one of those bullshit deals. I don't think that no one is just out there ready to throw $6 billion at this fucking company that is internally in turmoil with Vince McMahon as part of the process.
I've seen other reports too that different folks who were saying they were interested in buying it are backing out now too as well. So,
how interesting would it be if Tony Khan actually pulled a mega play and got it? But don't get me wrong, I don't think he's going to throw away half his net worth to buy this company, but
no,
how crazy would that be?
I don't think Vince would sign off on them buying it. I really have a hard time believing that he would do that, because how he feels about anybody trying to be competition. He doesn't believe that they are. So I don't know if
I have a hard time believing Vince would sell, regardless of best interest of the stockholders, that Vince is ever going to sell this to anyone that doesn't allow him to run it. His ego is not going to do it. And then what's Vince going to do? Well, I mean, Vince doesn't have hobbies. What is Vince going to do?
I still have in the back of my mind that some investment firm is going to buy it, but the investment firm is going to be him involved, and it's his money, so it's going to be him just in charge of it again.
They go back private. What's going to come out of this?
It
should. It probably should. I mean,
yeah, we'll see.
Other than that, my Geek Week was pretty. I had a good toy haul. I got retro carded Dark Phoenix. She sits behind me. Retro carded Spiral and Logan. They're all really great figures. I don't believe I've done a review on those guys. But they look really great on the retro wall. I scored a retro card Iceman from Big Rob. Thank you, boy. I appreciate it. Done a little horse trading around, and I traded a Cobb Vant for him. So got that done. So now my retro cards wall is getting where I want it. Mr. Mittens has 2 of my retro cards at his house that, even though I saw him yesterday, he forgot to bring. Not gonna throw shade. I got a Black Series Clone Wars Darth Maul with the robot legs. It looks pretty good. I mean, you can
I've
tell
got
that
that one
they,
in my pile of loot, I believe. That's the one that was the most recent one, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I've got him in my pile of loot. I haven't shipped my pile of loot. It's getting pretty full. I need to soon, but I haven't done
Dude,
it yet.
that's what's killing me is the order of things, how they're jumping way up. Like it's
Yeah,
stuff from April or May is already jumping up and coming now. So I'm waiting on those 2 3 packs for the X-Men to just drop any day.
Those retro cards that you just talked about were not supposed to be out till April because I had
Yeah.
the only one of those I bought because I'm not buying everything on a retro card. I'm only buying my buying on superhero figures has now dwindled to it's got to be somebody very, very, very special to me or one that I want to build a display with. So I bought the retro Wolverine because I want to actually open that and build that Uncanny X-Men 278 cover display with the
Yeah.
ones that are coming out with the 3-pack. So I bought that Wolverine and it wasn't supposed to be till like April 16th was the date on it. And I just got an email from Amazon yesterday that, hey, this will be here earlier. We'll be shipping it this week.
But ironically, I ordered one and I went back and ordered a second one because I was like, damn, once I seen it, I was like, I got to, I was in a few
Yeah.
days of each other. So I want to open one and do like you're talking about. The one I ordered second is still showing an April release date.
Yeah, because they come in waves of just the case is just that figure, and then once they send them all out there, they got to wait on more of them to arrive. So that's probably why.
Yeah, that's just kind of sporadic. It's kind of hard to be a collector at the moment because of I mean, you still getting emails from Super 7, stuff being pushed back.
Yeah,
And then you get other emails, well, hey, surprise, this is showing up. You're like, oh, wow, thank you.
yeah.
I got my Gargoyles Hudson in. He looks really, really great. And he's probably the best looking one detail wise of the entire series so far to me.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like Goliath, I mean, Goliath looks very much like he does in the cartoon, but a little more detailed. And Demona looked great, and I got Bronx. But then when Hudson come in, I was like, holy shit! Like they slammed it with this figure. He made me want to open it so bad, and I haven't opened any of them just because of the fact that it looks silly without their wings, but with their wings, where the fuck do you display them?
Dude, that's where I'm at because the only one I
Because
bought was
that'd be
Goliath,
like
and
this
he's
slide,
taking a whole.
Yeah.
So I have those detail shelves from IKEA, and the base. I've got Goliath on the top because he won't fit inside one of the actual shelves with his wings on, and those are like 15 inches wide, so 16 inches wide is the top, and and his wings are hanging over to both sides of the top of it.
And I got the caped wings with Bronx, but I mean, what are you gonna do with the rest of them? None
Yeah,
of the
'cause
rest of them come with caped wings.
Yeah, yeah, that's the problem with those. That's why I didn't go in for any more of them because I was like, I gotta have Goliath because I love him, but I can't.
Sadly, that's what stopped me. Like I had, Brooklyn and Broadway. I had in Lexington. I had all 3 of them on pre-order too. I actually canceled my pre-orders on those. I was like, look, if I decide to just pick them up, if I see them somewhere, I will. But I'm not gonna bother to waste another $150 or whatever they are. Well, they may be 30 a piece. I forget, maybe so $90.
Yeah, I think they're
just
30
sitting
to
boxes.
35 a piece.
And they do got the window, but you have to pick them up and open to look. So it's like, I'm trying to be a little more selective. But he came in. I got some Joes, courtesy of you. Thank you. I got Bazooka and Python Patrol Pit Viper. I did do a review of those. They look great. My only complaint was the same as everyone else's with Bazooka is where the straps to his fucking backpack. And I get it. We didn't have that in the day. No one had it. And yet they're sticking with that.
Stuff, that stuff I can overlook because that's minor nitpick stuff at that point. Since you brought up GI Joe, I'll jump into one of the things I had for my Geek Week just so we can share the same stuff. Like I bought several classifieds. I did get Tiger Force, Bazooka, and Recondo just like you did. And I've got those to open and I've got them in the box because I've gotten most of them that way. But I bought several of them myself because I was like, man, the more I was messing with one, I was like, man, I really want to get the rest of them and just make another display because I've got one shelf now of just some of my favorites, but I'm going to build another shelf as well. And I'll probably keep buying others, but I went back and got another Stalker, the Heavy Artillery Roadblock, Dusty, and another Tiger Force Outback, and Big Rob picked up the Retro Gung Ho for me. So I'm going to build another shelf of display with those and have like Sergeant Slaughter and all the Special Forces guys, the Tiger Force, and maybe a couple of others on there with them, and like Beachhead or something, and then regular Joes on the other shelf together, and like Duke and Stalker and Flint and just to have some variety in it. But man, those figures are that's probably the best line out there right now. Figures coming out to me because they're
and there's a few more I want to get, for loose, but like, I went into the Zone, our sponsor Friday, and bought some books and stuff, and he's got a great display of really cool, loose figures, and usually a pretty reasonable price. So it had a couple of classifieds there, but I just couldn't bring myself to, because there was Destro there, and I wanted Destro to open. I mean, because I was going to open the retro card because I was like, you sold me it was not in great shape, but it was great when I got here. Thank you. so I wasn't able to open him. So when I seen one there, but it is the first series Destro. But then it was like a price tag out $22. Like I said, typically they're very reasonable price, but I can't bring myself to pay full price for a loose figure. If it's one super rare, I don't mind doing it, but Destro is not rare enough. I don't feel like I thought I'd catch a better deal, especially when there's retros out there right now. You can find here and there for like 12.
And it won't be today, but the place I used to pick you up stuff, they had the retro card for like $20 still on the card.
Yeah, so I mean, I was like,
and the card's good enough. The card's not as good as the one I sent you, probably, so you could open it.
I have no qualms about opening one with a bad card, so it's like,
yeah, I'll look again when I get there. It won't be today because I ain't planning to make that trip today, but yeah, I'll look for you when I go back.
So, but if anybody looking for him, it's there, and he's in excellent condition. They had a Storm Shadow, but I already have one of him loose. So
yeah,
I was real close to blind of one of the black costume Spider-Man that he had there. I've picked it up, looked at him the last 2 times I was there, but I really want the one from the retro card animated because the head looks better to me. The eyes, for whatever reason, they did a better job, and I hadn't seen that one loose anywhere. Or reasonable on card. I'll put it that way.
I saw him for $25 on the card.
Well, just saying.
No, but going back to the G.I. Joes, I think that's probably the best toy line out there right now to me. I mean, just the way that they've made them and the stuff they've done with them. Like, I know there's some issues that are nitpicky, like, the straps for backpacks. You get to somebody like Recondo, he's got a full chest harness for like his gun, and it looks like the straps for his backpack. And then you get to others, and they don't have anything, but the drop down hips can sometimes be an occasion, but that's varies by figure. But man, some of the stuff they've been doing on them, like even on like that bazooka, if you open him up, his sleeves to make them look like their actual short sleeve t-shirt, they actually made those as a separate piece, and it kind of slides up over that joint, but it lets them flare out and stuff, so they look like an actual t-shirt. And like the way they built him, he's supposed to be like him and Rock and Roll are supposed to be, Gung Ho and Roadblock were big, beefy fellas, but Rock and Roll and Bazooka and the old comics and stuff were actually like into bodybuilding and stuff like that. So they kind of like do a build and a cut, and they made those figures look like, that would be a bodybuilder type figure, and he's got to be a bigger figure to carry around a bazooka and stuff all the time. It's his primary weapon, and
they did an amazing
they
job
don't look
with
like that.
And like I said, most of the figures, the backpack, it doesn't even stand out to you that they don't have straps. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, because the football jersey, I suppose maybe it stands out a little more because he's got these rockets hanging out the back of his damn head. But great figure. If they don't make an Alpine pretty soon, for me to have Alpine and Roadblock together, I'm gonna lose my shit.
I'm sure it's in the cards, but we saw some new reveals this week too with the Snow Job, which they've announced all these before, but they finally gave renders of Snow Job, which looked amazing. Like the way they did his beard to be an Arctic Trooper, like he's got this really thick looking beard. It's like they really took a step out and said, hey, we're gonna make this match what it's supposed to be. Who else did they show? The Televiper,
Scrap Iron. He looked great. Iron. And we finally got the Metalway figure from the 80s.
Oh, the Steel Brigade, That's the only one that they had not announced. That one, and they announced Agent Helix, which is a character from the IDW comics, which is one like Kamakura. I'll probably get it in the box, but I'll never open it because it's a Joe, but at the same time, it's not my G.I. Joe. It was later on, and I was like, that's a cool character, but I don't care.
They showed 2 more female Cobra troopers too. And they look cool, but I don't typically buy a lot of the female figures. Because once again, I'm not sexist people. It's just I just typically don't go in for them.
I get them, but it's a character that I don't if it's a character that came later that wasn't part of the cartoon or the early comics, to me, I don't really care. Like Agent Helix, and if they make Cobra Commander's son Billy or whatever that became a Rashikage ninja, no, I don't care about him. But or Kamakura, I'll buy them and keep them in the pack. I don't need them in my display because they're not that special to me.
Well, I got Lady J, and I use Scarlet Cover Girl, things like that. But I mean,
yeah, them
fairness. But as far as a female Cobra Trooper, I get it. You're trying to include everybody, but as a 2-pack, I don't think it's going to do very well.
Yeah.
And the last thing I had, well, I caught up on Spider-Man. So next to the last thing, and I'll just briefly be with it. The regular Amazing Spider-Man title, he is just killing it. It's really, really good, really good. There's still a lot of like, who done it? Why is it this way? But it's enough mystery, like kind of like when you didn't know Logan's backstory, it would make him intriguing.
Yeah.
I will say I'm getting caught up on the dark web. I'm not as
that was one of mine. I've caught up on it up to.
It's so. It's not bad, but it's not great.
The only thing I've got left is the finale of it. It gets a little bit better as you go. It's not great, but it's one of those that's a fun read.
Yeah, I mean, I see we're, pretty much being as the ruler of Limbo now. But the thing is, have they really went on a route with being at this point where he's irredeemable? I mean, that's what I worry about. Like, because I hate to see him just be completely a villain.
I think that's what they're trying to do, but at the same time, in this storyline, that they redeemed Madeline Pryor. So,
but you know what? I mean, there's times where she never really came off as a villain. He's starting to do things that is villainous, just straight up.
Sure.
Villainous. To where a lot of hers was, she was angry. She felt like her husband and child were robbed from her.
That's true.
Just because the real version come back. I mean, because at the end of the day, Scott chose to be with this woman knowing she was a clone. And then the real version comes out like, "Hey, bitch, get back! I got real Coke, not Coke Classic. I got Coke Classic, not New Coke, so to speak." So, I mean, let's just be honest. That's what he did. So, I mean, I can understand a woman scorned.
Yeah.
Ben, on the other hand, I mean, and I do really get behind the fact that his memories are but that was beyond corporation that done this, not Peter. And I understand the fact that in a fractured psyche, you would do things you typically wouldn't because you want to get your memory back. But you would almost think that there'd be enough rationale there to like, okay, between Goblin Queen and Jean, they should be able to fix old buddy's mind up,
Well, that's what happened with them. Jean fixes Madeline's mind, gives her all her memories and stuff. And okay, now we share all this. Why wouldn't you just do the same thing?
It should have been able to end right there.
Yeah.
But it didn't. So that's to the point where I feel like he's getting irredeemable to me. I hope they turn a page and something happens that I'm not expecting. And we get our boy back because I loved him as Scarlet Spider. I always did.
Yeah,
I'm
me
a big
too.
fan. But moving on from Spidey, because I know I'm getting a little long. The 90s show. I watched into it yesterday. That 90s show. I watched it yesterday. At least the first 8 or 9 episodes. All in all, it's not bad. It's not great. It's not bad. It's got some really funny points here or there that's like pretty slappy. It was nice to see the original cast come back, for the majority. It was really cool.
That's what sold it to me was the old cast being on there, their cameos, and then anything with Red and Kitty was extremely hilarious, like the old show was. But the new kids, there's no personality and there's no development for them. It's like they're just
the chemistry amongst them is not very good at all.
No.
That was what I was like. Their flow is like, it's almost like very much like a school play. When you go watch these school plays, and they're just hitting their lines and they're overacting, and some are overacting, some are just, "Hi, I'm the tree. I'm here to do this." They come off that way.
The only one of the new kids I liked was the and I don't remember his name, but the young Asian guy.
Ozzy.
He was hilarious. Yeah, beyond him, I could have cared less about any of the rest of the kids. But I went back and said, okay, maybe it's just because of the amount of time they had. And I watched it. I watched the first couple of episodes of the original 70 show. They had chemistry right away.
Yeah.
They were entertaining immediately. I was like, okay, well.
I will say they did a great job with casting young Kelso because he does really remind me of Ashton Kutcher. There are certain mannerisms about the kid that he does.
Physicality and mannerisms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I get Kelso out of this kid right here. A little bit of Jackie. So, okay, I get this right here. But the rest of them, the best friend, I kind of dig her. She's about the coolest one out of the bunch.
Yeah.
And the mom, the neighbor, she wound up like, so some of the actors, they do really good. And then some of them, I mean, the daughter, she does a great job of coming off like she would be Eric Foreman's daughter because she is. There are certain mannerisms about her, like, okay, you're super lame. I can see you being on Foreman.
Yeah.
But the rest of them is just like,
yeah.
So I'm hoping they gel a little better in season 2.
And I'll continue watching because if nothing else, Red makes the show for me.
But do you like soft Red? He almost seems soft in this one.
I don't know. There's a couple times he pulls out a couple things. I'm like, yeah, he's funny.
The old Red's still there in some episodes, but then there's some where he's like give the kid the flannel shirt, and I was like, oh, Red, you softy.
But it's grandkids at this point, so it is. You tend to soften towards the grandkids usually.
This is true. I see my parents with their grandkids now, and I'm like, who are you people?
You see yourself too.
Yeah. I don't. The Gremlin gets away with a lot more than Hope and Jason did.
Yeah. Oh, with that, we're running a little tighter on time, so I'll run through because I've only got a couple extra things that we didn't already discuss for my Geek Week. I'll run through them and we'll go straight into Nerd Out from there. But I did get a couple other items that I actually have open because I haven't opened any of my G.I. Joes yet. But I did get Mastermind Creations, First Aid, and Streetwise, their versions of those characters for the defense sword that they're building. Mm-hmm. And originally I bought the X-Transboss one. That was the only one I was going to do because it scales better with my other combiners. But these look so good, and I got them for 40% off. So I was like, I'm going to buy them. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to buy them. But they look so much more cartoon accurate as their individual robots. So I'm probably going to have half a set of Protectobots and a defense sword put together. But at this point, the way that's going, much as I didn't want to spend that money. Other than that, the only other things I've done is I did watch. I finished The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead season 7. Not a bad season, but there's a lot of time jumps in the show. Like nobody's together in the beginning of the show. Everybody's scattered to different areas, and then the next episode is like, oh well, I found so and so and so and so and so and so, and they're living with me. It's like, when, why, what happened? How did that happen? Did I miss
time
something?
Jumps.
Yeah, and it's only like a few days or a week or something. But it's like, this makes no sense. It's a little disjointed in that. But I will say that Madison coming back in the end and meeting Morgan was pretty interesting. She was in all of the last episode actually with Morgan.
Did she come out just for the last episode?
She's sticking around for next season. But yeah, that's the last episode was the first episode she was back in. And then beyond that, I did start watching The Walking Dead season 11 on Netflix, the final season of it. I'm only about 3 episodes in, so I'm not sure what's really going on, if I'm enjoying it yet or not. I will say that they make Daryl, they are forcibly making Daryl, the new Rick Grimes and being a badass. Just some of the stuff he does, like the first opening scene, they break into like this underground fort, and then there's zombies just everywhere, but they're dormant because there's been nobody around them for months and years or whatever. But they go in here to try and get some supplies, and somebody gets cut and a drop of blood falls on one of them, so they start waking up and coming after them. Well, Daryl and a few others are sitting up on the roof entrance that they came in, and they're trying to get everybody raised back out of there. This fool is flinging knives from the top of this roof and hitting people in the head and killing them. I'm like, what the fuck? This is like, Naruto shit.
You're going to turn into Redneck Storm Shadow.
Yeah. But, I mean, so far, he's been the most interesting thing on there besides him and the interaction between Negan and Maggie. But, again, I'm not far enough in to really know how it's going to go. So I'll have more to report on that as I get further. And then the last thing I watched was, and I know you didn't like this TV show, but the Teen Wolf TV show that used to be on MTV, they actually have a movie now, and it's on Paramount Plus. It's like a sequel to it. That was actually really good. I enjoyed it, but I liked the show they did as well because it was more of a supernatural thriller type thing than it was, the Teen Wolf movie.
My daughter, she loved it, but she loves Vampire Diaries too. So I mean, I guess that's why I couldn't jive with it. It was like very Vampire Diary-ish.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. But with that, since we're a little bit tighter on time, let's go straight to Nerd Out. And since you went first today, I'll let you go first on that one too.
All right, and I am actually prepared this week. And
if anybody wants to answer our questions or comment further on our answers to the questions, or And for folks who haven't been here, this is where we ask random questions about the topics of the day. And today will be very random, and we have to give answers with no prep time. So feel free to join in the conversation and put your answers in the comments as well.
So this week I got a slew of emails from Big Bad Toy Store, announcing delays for Super 7 again.
Oh.
But then I've also heard that, people are starting to get emails from Big Bad as well and Entertainment Earth saying that the Thunder Tank is on the way. It's only 2 years late, but hey, it's on the way. So with Super 7 continuously having setback after setback after setback, do you think that they will still be a big collector brand in 3 years? Not people looking for the shit they've already put out. A continual brand.
Yes.
That people keep putting their trust in.
I don't know if Ultimate's line will be, but their reaction and stuff surprisingly sells very, very well. And they make. I think they make more money individually off of an Ultimate, but I think they make more money overall off their reaction brand. And they delve into a lot of stuff that goes outside of the realm of just comics and collectors and old cartoons and stuff, because they get into music and everything else with those. So probably so. I'd imagine they'll stick it out.
I think they're going to be a fraction of what they are now. You're correct with the reaction line. I mean, I'll give you that there. As far as big collectors, though, I think they're slowly frustrating and losing the real collector fan. And let's be honest, they can only do so many more repaints of a lot of these characters. They're exhausting the lines already, anyways. Not only are they exhausting the lines, they're delaying the exhausted lines, so to speak.
And a lot of their current properties too, the ones that they're. So Silverhawks is one that they have that I think they own the license to at this point. Nobody can really figure that out, but they seem to own the licensing for figures and stuff for Silverhawks. Thundercats is about over with, really. How many more characters do you really have?
I mean, yeah, we got oddly enough, it was the one they didn't even touch on, the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive Tiger that's invisible.
Yeah.
No update on him. You got updates on the rest of them. You got delayed updates on the Silverhawks, so Silverhawks will kind of keep them alive the next 2 years, I feel like. Even though it's going to be delay after delay after delay. But even their Power Rangers, they announced these things 2 years ago. We got one wave. Zed and his Throne were like the two I went in for. They're pushed back to September.
Well, that's the other one thing too, is they've got so many properties right now that are Hasbro as well. And I know they're doing a different size. They're doing a 7 versus a 6-inch scale, but how long can they survive doing the same property that Hasbro is doing? Like Transformers,
$56 a figure, and you 23 to 24.
Yeah. Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, Transformers, all those are Hasbro properties. Are they?
But when they pushed back, I went ahead and canceled my Zed because honestly, I feel the Hasbro one is far better detail. I like a few of the accessories that come with the Ultimate one. Don't get me wrong, but it was Hasbro has a far better detail. It's about an inch shorter. I did keep the Throne just because it'd be a cool diorama piece, and I can still use the Hasbro with that.
Well, and Hasbro is struggling with their own money problems right now. And yes, I know they get a portion of whatever Super 7 sells, but why wouldn't you just sell your own version and take all that money versus a % of that money?
Well, because they're laying, what was it, 15,000 people off?
Yeah.
Not a good move, dick move. So it's going to get passed on to us collectors. So we're going to be once again hit with another price hike. And before the end of this year, you're going to be seeing $28, $29 figures on Walmart shelves.
Yes, you are. Your question kind of leads into mine, though, so I'll jump ahead to mine. So if you have to narrow down your collectibles collecting to 3 specific brands, what would you continue collecting? And when I ask that question, I say that's continually buying some sort of brand. Not necessarily having to give up what you already have, but if you had to stop buying everything else and you could only buy 3 brands, what would you go in for?
Ooh, right now, I would stick with my WWE Legends that I buy. So that's Hasbro. I would stick. Oh no, that's Mattel. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Mattel,
yeah. I would stick with the Joe's Hasbro, and probably Marvel Legends. because I really dig the retros right now. And they still are putting some really great legends out there, but I'm going from two figures to one because they're gonna get opened and fucking
Yeah.
displayed at this point.
Yeah, and I had the same thought on that, but to be honest, I'm looking at just cutting most of the superhero stuff because again, you're getting it in a box that you can't open or that you can open but you can't keep it in the box. But for me, I went with Transformers, particularly in the masterpiece scale, just because I've already built so much of that, and I really enjoy those because I get to transform them as well as pose them. The GI
Well, see,
Joe,
there's only a handful of the Transformers that I still really need. Like you got me the Wheeljack, and so there's a couple of the Autobots I'd really like to get, and there's still a few cons I need because I still need Astro Train, and shit, I had someone else on. I got two on pre-order, but yeah, and I really want a masterpiece version of Devastator, but
yeah,
I just don't buy enough of the line that if I were to
yeah.
have to really make a choice,
Yeah,
you know.
and for that, and when I say the transform masterpiece, it doesn't have to be that specific. It doesn't have to be a Hasbro or Takara made one. It could be a third party, but that type of scale of stuff is what I've been getting on those. And from the other two lines for me would be GI Joe Classifieds because I think they're just killing it with what they're doing there, and I really enjoy GI Joe and the characters, and you can make a whole little army setup and stuff there, and it's really cool. And then beyond that, I'd probably stick with my Power Rangers Lightning collection because I've gotten so many of them and I enjoy them because I open all the red ones. I get a copy of all the red ones and open them and put them in a display. I don't open every single one of them, but those have been really good. And then like the crossovers they're doing are really cool looking.
But
I
are they
did
going to
open
have
Street
enough
Fighter
to
ones.
sustain that line moving forward very much longer? I mean, I know they're doing the remastered versions and they look
Well,
great.
that's the
But I mean,
thing. If they start finally delving into the other teams, because there's some teams they haven't made a single character out of, and some they've made one here, one there. As far as completing an actual team, Mighty Morphin, Zeo, and maybe in space or one or two others that they finished, but they've only finished like 4 out of 30 teams.
yeah, I did go in for the Gold Ranger from Dino Fury or Force or whatever it was, the Tommy Oliver. I went
Yeah,
in for that the other day because actually a really good looking figure, and it'll be the last version of him we get in that line, I suppose.
and that one actually, so that team will actually finish off once he comes out. But again, they haven't made hardly any of the villains from a lot of it. They've made a few here and there, but they haven't really produced many of those. But they don't sell very well either. The monsters don't. I think the
No.
mainline villains sell, but like the big oversized monster ones, they don't sell very well because I see them everywhere clearance for like $10 to $15.
Yeah, I've seen him in Ollie quite a few times, like 12 Bones, somewhere in that neighborhood there. Which the big villain from Dino Fury,
He's in
they
that
done a
wave.
figure, yeah.
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 And those tend to sell like when you do the main villains or you do like a Goldar or a Zed or a Rita or that Mesogog from that line, but like King Sphinx and stuff, they don't sell.
I mean,
Uh,
let's just be honest. Beyond Zed and Rita, I mean, maybe a Goldar. I mean, do you really want a lot of the villains? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I've been doing a completionist on that line, but honestly, if I wasn't doing the villains, I probably would only have
I
done Zed
I
and
have yet to
Goldar.
buy a Rita, and I almost bought the Ultimates version because she did look really good, but I talked myself out of it. So because I just to me there hasn't been a really just bowl me over version of her because no matter how they do it, whether it be the cloth usually looks crappy, and if they do the hard plastic, it looks like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, matter of fact, I think that they've only done her in the Lightning collection in that 2-pack with Zed, the marriage pack or whatever, with the two of them. I don't think
Yeah, the
she
only
got an
reason
individual release.
no, she didn't, and the only reason I wanted that one was to have the green crystal.
Oh, yeah, that's in there too. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But with that, I think that brings us to a close today. But before we get out of here, we give some shout out to some of our friends. First of all, Mr. Daniel Garcia, creator of Zyber Ronin, which is on its way to your hands very soon. You can find him on Facebook at Daniel Garcia and on Instagram at D Garcia Comics. Our friend Mr. Chris Daly, host of the Fueled by Weird podcast. You can find him on Instagram at Fueled by Weird. And on his podcast, Fueled by Weird, wherever you find all your podcast apps, he discusses all things nerdy and weird, does a lot of great reviews. Content creator and autism activist, Miss Mandy Lynn, aka Kushimama. You can find her on Instagram at Kushimama and on YouTube at Doodles Toy Report. She also has a new YouTube channel as well. I need to get the name of that. I apologize. I forgot to do that before we started today. but also Mr. August Aguilar from Strange Film Studios. Keep an eye out for his newest project, He Comes to Kill. And I saw he made a big announcement a couple of days ago on his Instagram and stuff. He is delving more into his filmmaking and his podcasting. I think he is actually completely out of his corporate world job and doing that full time now. So expect to see a lot more good things.
Yeah, he's actually looking for people in the Atlanta area that are interested in doing things that, for him, the footwork, so to speak, out there. So, if you're in the Atlanta area and you're kind of looking, reach out to him.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what else they're going to be doing, because it sounds like he's got a lot of stuff in the works to continue creating content. And don't forget about our extended Nerdy Manroom family member, Big Rob. You can find him on his new channel, Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food.
No Chinese food!
Where he drops new reviews and unboxings of items, shares fun stories from his life on the road. And I know he was just sending us pictures that I hope are going to be in a review very soon.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that one.
That's actually what I caught looking at just a while ago. I was like,
yeah, I did too. And remember, while you're checking out all our friends, go check out our sponsor, These Own Collectibles. You can find them on the internet at theseowncollectibles@gmail.com, on Facebook at These Own Collectibles, or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Visit them for all your nerdy needs and help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. But before we leave, Hassel, let's make sure we tell everybody where they can find us as well.
You can find us on the Twitter at Nerdy MR Show. You can find us on the Instagram at the Nerdy Manroom Show. On Facebook at Hassel Hutchison via Nerdy Manroom Show. And of course, the most important place, YouTube, the Nerdy Manroom Show. And Monster, we're halfway to our goal. We're getting there. We got 125 subscribers. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate you. The goal is get 250. Get 250, we'll give the Michael Myers mask away. So it's growing. So hopefully very soon we'll be able to give this away.
And we appreciate and cherish every subscriber. But with that brings us to a close today. So join us here next time. We're going to go through, since we spent so much time on G.I. Joe today, we're actually going to do a whole G.I. Joe-centric episode next time. We're going to talk some of our top 10 G.I. Joe characters. Until then, live nerdy and geek it up.